So I'd like to welcome everybody to another session of our SKUFood Recipes for Success. These weekly sessions, which are presented by FCC, are really meant to help you in your food business as we manage through all the challenges of 2020 and some of the different curveballs that COVID-19 and some of the other events of 2020 have thrown at us. So this week, I'm really excited to welcome Chef Alain Bosse, the Kilted Chef. Welcome, Chef.
Hi, Peter. Thank you for inviting me.
Oh, we're so happy to have you here, and I'm really looking forward to today's conversation because we're going to talk about how you, as food producers and processors, can really develop some innovative and new relationships with your customers. And the reality is, we're all working in a different world now. And even Chef Alain is, his business has changed, as has SKUFood in 2020. So we're going to talk a little bit about that. And we're going to delve into some of the really creative ways that you can build those virtual relationships with customers and consumers. So just so that everybody's aware, I'm sure many of you have heard of Chef Alain Bosse, the Kilted Chef, but he's traveled the world to convention centers prior to March of 2020, right?
Of course.
Sharing his expertise and love for buying and eating local ingredients with people near and far. And with his signature tartan kilt, and believe it or not, Chef Alain has his own tartan, which I think is phenomenal. His proud Acadian heritage and undeniable flair for cooking with local, he's earned a reputation as Canada's culinary ambassador. And we're really excited to have Chef Alain here with us today because I know that he's been doing some really innovative things to help food businesses sell more in a new environment. So we're going to delve into that with regards to some of the work he's done with producers and processors, and then also his daily, believe it or not, I think it's a lot of work to put together a weekly recipe for success, but Chef Alain and Joanne put together a daily Facebook Live cooking show, virtual cooking show. So we're going to talk about that as well and share some of the incredible results that they've been able to accomplish through that. And it's great for us to be partnered with FCC on our recipes for success. And I'm sure many of you are familiar with FCC's work in agriculture, but it's really important to understand that FCC are working with people in the food value chain right from one end to the very other end of it. And they work with artisanal producers, they work with large multinational companies exporting around the world, they work with producers, processors, wholesalers, distributors, packaging companies, anybody who's really involved with food. And I know they have a diverse array of products that are very beneficial. And when you add that to their understanding of the food industry, it really is a win-win relationship. So we appreciate the partnership we have with FCC to be able to bring our recipes for success to you every week. And so Chef Alain, one thing I wanted to do, I wanted to share with everybody just quickly here what we're dealing with in Atlantic Canada this week. We actually pre-recorded the show yesterday because this is Hurricane Teddy, who, and that's what it looked like this morning at just after 8 o'clock when it hit landfall in eastern Nova Scotia. And I understand that Hurricane Teddy was actually bigger geography-wise than Hurricane Katrina that got so much notoriety when it struck New Orleans a number of years ago. So it was a big storm, but as those of you who were on a little early, as Chef Alain and I were getting set up, I saw a note from Crystal in the chat that, and she's from Newfoundland, that it was just sort of a windy day over there, I guess. So, and how about you, Chef Alain? You're in Pictou County. How was it down there?
We're in Pictou. We're now starting to see a little bit of rain. We had a heavy wind last night, but right now she's pretty calm.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think from looking at the radar, we're pretty much through with it in Nova Scotia. I'm sure PEI a little bit more and some more in Newfoundland. But part of the reason I wanted to put this up was when it comes to developing relationships with your customers, with retailers, hopefully anybody who's a producer, processor in Atlantic Canada sent a note to their customers and just said, listen, this is how we're dealing with the storm. Either we're going to make our deliveries, we're not going to make our deliveries. So always try to take those opportunities to build on that relationship. And that's what your customers appreciate, because they say, hey, you're thinking about me. And that's part of what this is all about. So it was a big storm, but thankfully, I don't think a huge amount of damage. So so that's a good thing. So Chef Alain, I really am excited that you're here, and maybe just tell us a little bit about how your business has changed since March, middle of March. And by the way, a meeting at your place was the last meeting I traveled to before the whole pandemic struck. So, but maybe share a little bit about what's happened in your business.
That's so true. I could still taste those lobster rolls, Peter.
Oh, they were good. They were.
So for our business, things have changed 360, like a total drastic change, same as many people out there. So we went from literally having zero business to, having lots of business and being very busy and always on the go, to absolutely being grounded. So no flying, obviously, no big gathering. So therefore, no big shows to promote our amazing products in Atlantic Canada. And as well for us, that means no events, no special, whether it's as simple as the exhibition or as big as a Congrès Mondial Acadien. It all sort of worked together. And we were really left, what are we going to do? And so in the first week, Joanne and I sat on the couch and watched TV and binge watched television, same as everybody else. And then we said, well, we can't do this. We got to do something. We got to give back. We got to do something. So we started an online show. We were then doing it 7 days a week, Monday to Sunday. And we decided to eventually, because we thought, well, we'll do it for a week for our friends and family. And the show just took a life of its own. And right now today, I think, is episode 153, something like that, Peter. So
wow.
It's been very, very enlightening, but as well, the amount of people that are followers, not followers, but also our engagement. Our engagement is way, way up there. And so people are starting to call us influencers, which is not something we never, if I look at my marketing plan, there's no such thing as social media influencer. But you know what? It's now the business that we're in. And we have a great audience, extremely loyal, and the right demographic. You know, that demographic from 30-year-old to 65-year-old that we're all looking for to sell to, because they're the one that makes the decision in the household. So that's where we went, Peter. And we've been able to continue working with our client virtually, of course, by developing recipes and working on marketing plans and doing all kinds of stuff virtually, but not been able to do that close contact situation. So we've gone from not redoing restaurants, but enhancing restaurants and how they can deal with cope with all those issues of how to do the takeout, how to take an order now with less tables, and what you take out. So it's been very interesting in that perspective.
Yeah, so you really changed things around, and which is awesome. And I think you've discovered a whole new part of business as it goes forward. And we don't know where this will all lead us, but I think that we'll all be working in a different environment. So congratulations.
I agree. It's been nice as well to see how the show has evolved to the point that we're launching new products for clients, where we're doing all kinds of stuff, but it's done very organically. It's not in-your-face marketing, which has been great. So we were never hesitant in the past to spend a couple $1,000 to have somebody in a grocery store sample a little bit of product. This is a different world. We have to think outside the box, and associating yourself with somebody that is an influencer or that can help you from that perspective to get your item on that shopping list that dad or mom or whoever is the shopper that's going to go get.
Right.
That's the challenge.
It is. And I think for a lot of our producers and processors, one of the biggest challenges is how to have these Zoom meetings or Microsoft Teams or whatever platform it is with your category managers. And one of the things which I think is a big opportunity, which wasn't an opportunity in the past, is now that you're going to have these Zoom meetings where we're all familiar with sort of this screen where you see, you know, 4 or whatever people on there, but how do you spice it up? And I think that we need to be thinking about that, because we're going to be working in this environment for a long time. Even today, I was on a call with a client and with the major retailer, and the calls that we're having, they've set up actually as a bi-weekly call as we go through this project. And that never would have happened in the past, because we would have probably had to fly to Ontario for a meeting, stay in a hotel, all those kind of things. And we would have had one shot to kind of go through it. Whereas now we're meeting virtually every 2 weeks for half an hour to see how the project is progressing, updates from both the retailer and the producer. And it's a different way of working. But I think in this case, it's probably a better way of working. So people have to push for those kind of things. And I'm not sure, Chef Alain, if you've seen some opportunities, but I think it's just a great thing to, you know, if you're having a meeting with a category manager and you want to talk about, you know, in the photo there, you can see where you're doing something with scallops. Well, bring a chef in, bring somebody in from a culinary school. They only have to be on the call for 10 minutes, but you don't have to fly them to Toronto anymore. You can just bring them in virtually.
And you could make it live, Peter. And that's what's really cool with all these screens and so on. We could take that product and elevate it for the sales team to be able to showcase it properly on what virtually works.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so many ideas. And another thing that for me is a huge idea is to use video. And you know, that we talk a lot about wishing that people could visit and that kind of thing, and it doesn't happen as much now. But video is such a powerful medium. So what I want to do right now is just play for you a little video that it's actually from Country Magic in Nova Scotia. And this is a video that they put together themselves. And it just shows their onion harvest. And you can see on the screen how they've been able to really take their farm to their customers. And there is a little bit of background music that they put in here. But just, you know, it'd be a great opportunity for them to be on a Zoom meeting, share the video with the category manager, and just take them through the process of what they do to harvest, you know, their 15 million pound onion crop. So, and I know you've actually been in some of those fields, right, Chef Alain?
That's right. We're actually on September 9th doing a live show right out of that field right there on onions.
October 9th.
October 9th, yes, I'm so sorry.
I didn't want people to think that we pre-recorded this in August or something.
No, she's as live as it gets.
That's right. And so,
but that's another opportunity, Peter, for a lot of producer processors to do something like that live in their own areas. Like if we're doing, let's say somebody is pitching a hot sauce of some sort. Mm-hmm. Maybe not the hot beans, but the hot sauce.
We're going to get to the spicy beans soon.
And we go and we actually use the product right there. It's
That's right.
powerful.
And I think it's, you know, an opportunity like this where, you know, you have the footage where you can talk to your customers, you talk to the retailers about the pre-grade that happens with the onions before they go into storage to ensure quality assurance, and just explain and show them some of the things which in the past they might not have been exposed to. And one of the other really neat things about this video is that it was done totally in-house. The video footage was shot by one of their temporary foreign workers who has a drone, and he did the footage, and one of the people who works in the marketing group put it together for them. And so I think that it's a really neat example of just how you can get creative and take your, you know, your business to your customer through video. So lots of opportunities. And another one I was thinking of, Chef Alain, I'm not sure what you think about this idea, is what about talking to customers in the store about your products? Retailers aren't getting out to the stores like they used to. Category managers are working at home. So why not interview a few consumers and say, what do you think about product X or product Y?
Yeah, that's a great idea, Peter.
And I think that it just helps cement the reason for what you're doing. And I think you could also even talk to employees in the stores. And I've noticed some people lately posting online about employees in the stores working with their products. And I think that would be another great opportunity. You could do it on video. You could do it on, just photographs with some testimonials, whatever works. But I think that it's incumbent upon us to make it interesting and entertaining for those people during those meetings. Keep them engaged. It's a different medium to communicate on.
Yeah. And then you got, like, if the multinationals are starting to do this type of stuff, then it's obviously working here. So we have people in our own backyards that have the opportunity to help you as a producer processor to really bring it to the consumer as well.
That's right. And another thing we're seeing, which there's a big one next week, are virtual trade shows. And we know that that's where, this whole marketplace is evolving. And Cial, which was always, a huge show in Canada for the food industry, has moved totally online next week. So it's so important for producers and processors to have that strategy in place so they're ready and able to communicate. So have you seen some things going on with some of the virtual trade shows where people are doing some interesting things?
What I've seen that's been kind of unique was the split door approach, where you've got the sales team on one side and the chef using the product on the other side, Peter. It's been pretty cool. So when they do go in virtually into see company ABC, they could see how the product is also used and so on, which has been very powerful, impactful.
Right. And
the show is lasting a day or two, so you hire a chef or somebody to work with you for 2 days, and you're in business.
Yeah, so you could have the chef in their location, and when somebody comes in and you want to talk about something, then you kind of spring into action. It's not a pre-recorded thing, it's something that's live and interactive, right?
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, so many opportunities. And as much as we all miss being in the same room together, I think what we have to do is find the opportunity to take advantage of things. And, even the product placement, I mean, you've got a bunch of items there in front of you that that you can showcase and talk about. And it's a great opportunity to do that, right?
That's right. Yeah. And it's the idea as well is to do it, like when we talk consumers, you want to do it so it's not an advertisement. Oh, here I am with the product, versus how it's used. And how it's used prompts people to say, I really want to get that product. And they organize themselves to be able to get it online or whichever way it's available. But when it comes to dealing with your category manager to get the product on the shelf, you got to use a different little approach and gently educating them about your product that they may not have seen. I mean, how many category manager in produce have never been in an onion field like you just showed us? And a lot of people have never seen that. A lot of people in Atlantic Canada don't realize we grow that many onions. So that's really about the education as well.
It is. And a lot of the category managers that we see now it's not the traditional sort of worked in the food industry for 25 years and moved up through the organization and worked at the store and then moved into a category management role. It's more younger people who are coming out of school, well educated, but don't have that sort of on the ground background. And so you have to find these opportunities to really connect with them, and you also educate too. And I think it's a great medium to be able to educate. So one thing I did want to point out to everybody is that we always encourage you to ask questions on our recipes for success. So if you have any questions for Chef Alain, I know that if he can't answer it, then I'll just have to step in and answer it. But I'm sure that he'd entertain any questions you have. And so I see one from Crystal, and there was a comment in there, Crystal, Chef Alain, from Crystal. She said that you had met before, Crystal Anderson Beggs from Newfoundland, And so she said hello, and then she's asking, what are some of the virtual trade shows you would recommend attending?
Well, I mean, there's no question I would attend the ones that are pertaining to my business. But if you're launching a product in Atlantic Canada, there's no question through Food and Beverage Atlantic, there is the odd conference that we're working on. But if you're looking at Canada-wide, the CL show that's coming up next week is going to be an awesome one for sure. You just got to be watching for them because it's new. Hard for me to say do this one and this one and this one because they're all starting to get evolving. Mm-hmm. So it's a matter of you doing a little research. But one comment, Peter, that we didn't touch on that I think is important is that every single one of us as producer processor have got in our heads that it works a certain way. Now you need to change your way of thinking. And whether that is, you know, I used to be able to do a newspaper ad for this amount of money and I knew people would see it and hope that it would resonate versus now the importance of social media is huge. And I'll give you some example. 19 million users of Facebook. Yeah, 19 million. And 11 million of them are active every single day. I mean, these are huge, huge numbers. I know we're all excited about Instagram and Twitter, and I'm not knocking these platforms. They're awesome platforms. But do your homework to find out, to know what is the demographic you're looking for and where it applies. So don't forget that. A lot of people, we tend to listen to everything we hear, and if everybody says, oh, Zoom is a past thing, not Zoom, sorry, but Facebook's a past thing, it's for old people. Well, that's not true. It's not true. So do your research. Very important. As a marketer, you need to be on the front line of what's going on in the industry. And that means putting your face in front of, I mean, an ad on those platforms go a long way. If you're looking for different demographic, then you go with different subject matters. Just keep that in mind. We got to think differently nowadays.
We definitely do. And for me, it's so much about understanding your target market. And once you're very clear about who your target market is, then you find the platform where they hang out. And as Chef Alain said, if your demographic fits within the people on Facebook, very powerful to interact with them. If you're trying to reach my two girls who are 12 and 14, don't go to Facebook.
No, it's not there.
No, yeah. Last night when we were doing the dishes, my 12-year-old told me that Facebook is, she didn't use the word dead because they use a different word. And I said, well, Grace, that's what I look at. She goes, yeah, but you're whatever as well. And so if you want to reach them, you got to go to TikTok. And other people are on Instagram. But I think it's definitely important to understand the target market and really go where they are. And a couple of shows I'd add to Crystal's question there was the GIC, the Grocery Innovation Show, is coming up at the end of October, which I think is always a good one for producers and processors because you get to interact with some of the more specialty independent stores across Canada. And then the other thing that I think is such an unbelievable opportunity with everything going virtual is you can attend a show anywhere in the world now. So if you're in the produce industry, then if I were you, I would definitely be participating in Fruit Logistica. If you didn't have the resources to travel to Berlin and take in the show for 4 or 5 days, which is a phenomenal experience when it happens live, but now you can be virtual and you can go to Berlin, you can go to Cologne, to Anuga, like, there's just so many opportunities. So I think that it's really finding ones and learn from them when you go.
So Peter, what would you say is a good source for people to go to find out about all those?
Yeah, it's I think that you want to pay attention to your industry associations. They do share a lot of that information out to people. That's probably one of the best sources. And I think, that's something that probably we should start doing a little more of at SKUFood, is just being able to help people see and get some visibility to some of those things that we see. If you are a subscriber to a Canadian Grocer, Grocery Business, a lot of times they will promote those events as well. So that's where I would go. And I see a comment there that said in the chat, it just said Facebook maybe for old people. I don't know, am I old? Maybe for old people, but old people have money and make food purchasing decisions. And I think that's 100%. And it's really the same as what Chef Alain was saying, right?
I agree 100%. And the demographic that we have on our show, for example, is exactly that demographic that has disposable income to buy the product. And Peter, there is lots and lots of opportunity. But the key thing is to align yourself with the ones that you feel is the right for your product. That's the key. I mean, if you're selling a product that you want to put in front of people, those influencers are there to help you. But don't wait too long. Like right now, we're booking right into December already. So
wow,
that's important for people to. And it's also a difficult sell to the upper management that may not understand social media. Keep that in mind. So you need to also educate your own people before you can go out there and do the success. And it worked. It really worked.
So one thing I wanted to just touch on before we leave the topic about virtual trade shows was when Food and Beverage Atlantic did one of the first virtual trade shows in the food industry, back in June, we had the privilege of working together on a bit of a project. And I just want to play a clip from one of the videos that we did. And the purpose of these was to bring some of the products together. So Chef Alain took some of the different products and combined them into some great recipes. And then we did some sort of 5, 10, 12-minute videos to help the visitors to that virtual show get to know the items a little bit. And we tried to do a little bit of a combination of talking about some of the benefits of the products to the customer, and then also some product use and how versatile the products were. So I just want to play you.
But they have these beans to go in your Caesar, but they're not the regular beans. They're a little spicier. They've got a real challenge. Kick, I challenge you, Peter. Go for it.
Oh, you're challenging me. Well, I'm only going to have one if you will.
Well, I had one already today. I think my quota for the day is in.
Are you brave enough to dip into the beans with me or not? I'm having one here.
Challenge.
I'm having one now.
I'm watching you. Oh yeah, that's a baby little taste.
Oh,
It's super hot. I mean, if you're a hothead, if you love hotness,
ooh,
be careful.
that packs some punch, doesn't it?
I inhaled at the same time.
Mm-hmm.
It packs a punch.
But I think if you were having a nice Caesar, that would be a great addition to it, wouldn't it?
So I think it's an opportunity to have some fun. And in this medium, you have to entertain more than you do in person. That's my personal feeling. You've got to bring it every time to keep people engaged and entertained.
That's true, Peter. The fun part too is that we could pretty well take any product and make it as glamorous as possible, guys. We're get the gift to gab, and we can entertain and keep people engaged for as long as possible. That's always the fun part, Peter.
It is. And speaking of entertain and doing things right, I see in the chat that people did not get the audio from my little clip. So I apologize for that. That must be my fault for not sharing that video properly, which I did test, by the way. So the audio that you missed was Chef Alain challenging me to a spicy bean. And I'll tell you, those beans were spicy from Mad Gringo. And it was hot. They were very hot, but we did have a little fun. And I think that's the point, is just to try to entertain and make sure that you keep people engaged. So let's talk about consumers. We've talked about customers and developing the virtual relationships with customers, where you've got to spice up the Zoom meetings. You've got to find video to take your facility back to them and introduce it in a Zoom or an online meeting. We talked about virtual trade shows. So now let's talk about consumers and those people who are buying your products in the stores. And Chef Alain, this is where I wanted you to explain a little bit more about your Facebook Live show and some of the different things that you've been working on and some of the results that you've been able to achieve through that show for the producers, really.
Definitely, Peter. I mean, basically, at this point, what we are doing is we always try, we started the show by incorporating as many local products as we could. And now we're leaning a little more towards if we have a particular product we're promoting. For example, today's show is all about Atlantic Canada seafood. They decided that every Wednesday they would promote a different commodity. So today it's obviously salmon, and we're going to be cooking the salmon, but not necessarily promote a fisherman, but a producer. And instead we're promoting the industry. That's their choice. But we did like a week long of wild blueberries, for example. We are with Country Magic in the field promoting. First we did the wild blueberries, sorry. We did the high bush blueberries. We did, we've done potatoes in the field, we've done corn in the field, we're doing onions in the field. So all of that is available. But the demographic, like I said earlier, Peter, we're in that age group of anywhere between, let's say 30 to 65. And our viewers right now, our followers are in excess of 37,000. And 70% of that are Atlantic Canadians. 60%, 30% is abroad, or 25, sorry, my math's not the greatest. And the demographic is there, and most clients that we've worked with, we've just got a big Dempster Canada, who is now now owned Ben's Bakery, for example. And they basically did a week-long launch of a recipe contest with their product. They had better success with that, with anything comparable that they've had in Atlantic Canada in the since 1930. So they were very excited of what consumers did.
And one of the real plus for me in this kind of an environment, and I just have some of the photos that you've got up there, must have been doing a recipe with Crosby's, and is the interaction that you get, and the fact that it's instant, where people can ask questions or comment or anything like that. And I know that with Joanne, she does a lot of the work with you on that, just answering some of the comments and addressing them right on the spot, right?
So we basically, as in live moment that people are asking the questions, I'm answering the questions. So Joanne will pass them on to me. We're a team of two, and we're a force to be reckoned with. We're having a lot of fun. The engagement per show, Peter, this is the mind-boggling part. Once we've done the video, and about 3-4 hours later, we post the recipe. So if you combine the video and the recipe, on average, impressions, which is what they call in more or less translation to eyeballs, are in excess of 30,000 to 100,000 per show. Wow. That's how the numbers are going right now. And as far as live comments on the go, the show averaged between 500 to 800 comments per show.
Mm.
So
and these are people,
a lot of questions, our audience is but there's many ways to participate. So from product placement to even prizes. Like last week, the entire week, Country Magic sent out every day a prize to one of the viewers of a box, and it had potatoes and onions and all kinds of stuff in it, right? So this week, it's an artist locally that wants to promote their paintings. They donated a painting, and there's a prize every week. So you could participate by donating a prize, and a little, for a fee, we could do pretty well anything, right, to make it work.
Right. And I think those are the kind of opportunities people have to explore. And the whole idea here is that you want to give consumers information, you want to build a relationship with them, and importantly, get your product on the shopping list before they go to the store. They're not shopping the stores the way they used to, so you want to really try to get your product on the list either before they go to the store or before they do their online order. So it's a different type of communicating.
Yeah, And Peter, you know what? Sometimes it's because you're working with influencers. This is a different way of doing it. You're not dealing through 7 or 8 people. You know, you're dealing direct with their marketing person or the person itself. So it makes it easier to say, you know what, I can't afford this. This is what I can afford. And then you build something around it. You know, that's what we're how flexible we all are. So
yeah.
that's what.
And I do see there's a question there about your Facebook show, and the person's just asking, what time is it on?
3 o'clock, Monday to Friday, every day. Not on Saturday and Sunday anymore.
3 o'clock.
Line in the sand.
Oh, did she? 3 o'clock Atlantic time.
That's right.
Right. So Chef Alain actually has a show in about 20 minutes or so that he has to get ready for. So
I'm going to sign off, Peter, if that's okay. Folks, it's really nice to virtually meet everybody. We hope that you will support some of these people that are really doing it for the industry. And if you have any questions, send them to Peter. We talk to each other on a regular basis. And thank you very much for joining us.
All right. Well, Chef Alain, we really appreciate you being here to share some of your insights. And good luck with your show at 3. Break a leg. And we will chat with you soon.
Sounds good. See you, everybody.
All right. Take care. So as Chef Alain signs off, what I'd like to do actually is I'm going to play a little clip, and I will get the sound right. I know what I did wrong. I apologize for the last one. I'm going to play a little clip from his show. And the reason I wanted to play this clip is so that you can understand the power of doing the product placement. And in social media, it's not just about pushing the features of your product. And what I want you to think about is, if you and I were having a conversation, if all I did was tell you all about me, the features of me, I don't think you'd be very excited. I think you'd walk away pretty quickly, and I think you'd get pretty tired of me pretty fast. And that's what happens so much we see on social media, where people go, oh, it's free. You know, I can just post about my product. And yes, you can. But think about it as if you're having a conversation with that person in your target market. And if all you did was just talk about the features of you, you push them away. So you have to find opportunities to engage them and bring them in and relate to them and find things that they're interested in. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to set it up just so you can see a little bit of a clip from Chef Alain's show where he is doing the launch actually of a promotion. He referenced it with Ben's and Dempster's, and so you can just see for a minute, and then we'll come back.
So today, we're very, very happy to inform you that we are teaming up with Ben's and Dempster's Canada. And they are going to be sponsoring, in conjunction with the Kilted Chef, a big, huge contest. So now the ball, I'm throwing it back at you guys, okay? So you've got literally till the 17th
of August
to enter the contest. And the way it's going to work is recipe contest must include one of Ben's or Dempster's product. And of course, we're featuring the sliced bread, on whole wheat and white, the English muffins, etc., etc. So you will be on our show today. Our partners will be posting the links to the actual contest. So all you have to do is go to the contest to figure out all the rules. They'll tell you all the rules and regulations. You can enter once a day, one recipe a day, to a maximum of 20.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm going to stop it there, and you can actually find all of Chef Alain's videos online if you're interested in watching some of them. But I just thought it was a great example of building something where you get that interaction. And I know if he was still here, he could share some of the numbers, but I know they got many submissions from people. And if you're getting people engaged to the level of submitting a recipe to you for your products online, and then those recipes, then I believe they picked over the last week, they did 5 recipes, one each day, sort of the the top 5 recipes that they picked. So it was great exposure for the bread, and they can give you all those numbers, but it's really about developing that relationship with consumers and how you can be effective in some of these new mediums. And it's really an opportunity. So I just wanted to see if anybody has any questions about these types of relationships. I did want to share a couple more ideas with you, just as we're talking about some other things that you can be doing. So one thing is, by far, it's powerful, and I'm sure that anybody who hasn't done it wishes they had done it, is to build up that online community. And I can tell you, I just put up a couple of examples here. It was in my inbox this week. One was from Peace by Chocolate, where they're talking about that it's International Day of Peace, and part of their corporate social responsibility is this week they're donating the profits from the sales of some of their products. And then Millennia Tea, they did an email campaign out, and it was related to back to school, and they called it Back to School, Back to Reality, with a little pun on the word tea, but talked about some of the stresses and challenges of going back to school and how their product could help people cope with some of that. So your online community is so powerful, and you need to be reaching out to them at the right rate. Find out what works with your community, with your target market. Make sure you're on the right medium to be able to reach them. And then there's e-commerce. And this whole e-commerce thing has just exploded in 2020 for food. And we know 5 times the amount of food is being bought online now as was prior to the pandemic hitting in March. And it's not just at the retailers. And this is something that I think a lot of people have to remember, is that consumers are now shopping differently. So here's an example, Clearwater Lobster, and they have what they call the East Coast Dinner for 2. So they will send, I believe it's anywhere in Canada, 2 cooked lobsters, mussels, J. Willie Cross smoked salmon, and all the equipment that you need for your lobster dinner. And they will put that into a courier box and send it out. And also remember, when you're doing these things through e-commerce, is you got to give people the details. And you've also now, in this world, you have to give people the opportunity for feedback. And through this feedback, you can then say, our customers rated us 5 stars for quality, for value. And then you can share that, because so many people are now relying on those online reviews, no different than they did last year for Airbnb, but now they're doing it for food. So give them the chance for feedback. And the generation that's coming up and increasing in buying power all the time are looking for more and more opportunities to provide input to their purchases. So you have to be able to give them that opportunity. And also, people will look at that. And if you get rated 5 stars, then you'll increase your sales through that medium as well. And online selling direct is such a valuable part of your business now. And I mean, when you think of that 1 in 6, 1 in 7 dollars for food is now being spent online, that's a big number. And you really need to think about, how does that play into your marketing and sales strategies? And if you haven't gone back and looked and you said, well, you know, we have an e-commerce site, we're there, that's not, in today's world, that's probably not good enough. You need to be more than there. You need to be engaging, you need to be offering value, and you really need to be having that 2-way interaction with consumers. That's how you build these relationships. And then the last thing about relationships I just want to touch on is, don't forget mass media. And I know we talk a lot about social media, and I know people can get excited about social media, and it's very powerful, and there are a lot of benefits to having those online relationships. But mass media also does still have a broad reach. And again, if you know your target market and you can find the right opportunities, and this is one where try to do some collaboration in your industry associations. And I'll use a Food and Beverage Atlantic example because it's one that I'm familiar with, where they partnered with CTV in Atlantic Canada and brought opportunities to their members to do segments, which they call What's for Dinner, and a recipes created. And actually, this was a program that Chef Alain worked on, or has been working on for them. And they do these really almost like an infomercial about the product. And it's more than just a commercial. It's more than just, you know, here's a brand and here's some of the benefit. It's how to use it and that kind of thing. So remember that mass media can be a big opportunity for you. Lots of opportunities to build relationships. So again, if anybody's got any questions, I'm happy to answer them. I'm always, interested, and perhaps there's some things that you're doing to build relationships with customers or consumers. If you want to share them with the group, I mean, that's really one of the benefits of this online platform. And one of the points that I actually wanted to make when Chef Alain was talking, but he just kept talking, so I didn't want to interrupt him. But this medium allows for much more interaction. When you think of the past, where we would create marketing and sales materials, and it's almost like you push it out and you try to get as much of it in front of the right people as you can, which is great. But this medium allows for the interaction, and it's no different in my work as a speaker, where we're doing sessions. And in the past, if I would have had the privilege of coming and speaking to you live in a room with 400 people, I would have got up and done my 50 or 60-minute session, and there's no real interaction. Whereas when we're having this kind of a session, there is interaction, and we can watch the chat, and we can talk to people and have conversations right through the whole piece. And if you have something on your mind, you can ask at the time. And that's one of the powers of this new virtual medium, and how you can develop relationships in that virtual environment. So I would always encourage you to leave room for that, and take advantage of it too, because you get some great feedback, and no different than I do, right? When I ask and say, what are people interested in? And I watch and see where the questions are, and that tells me what's on people's mind and what they're interested in. So take advantage of that ability in this medium. And this week, as always, we're going to talk about some of the good news stories that we see in food. There are always still things going on in the food industry that are positive, as people still struggle to sort of navigate through some of the challenges of COVID-19. But this one I thought was interesting this week, where we're seeing that food waste is actually decreasing in 2020. And this was something that I found on the website Love Food Hate Waste Canada. And in their survey of 1,200 Canadians, they're learning that 24%, so 1 out of 4 Canadians, are actually wasting less food than they did prior to the pandemic. So that's a positive coming out of this. When they asked them how they're doing it, 46% of the people are now looking at the food in their cupboard or in their fridge before they go shopping, whereas in the past they probably would have just gone shopping. And some of these metrics that they shared are actually interesting consumer insights as you listen to them. So 33% of people are now making a list before they go to the store, whereas in the past they would have just gone and bought things. And that's a big number, and I keep trying to remind people a lot about this year, is trying to get on that list before they go to the store. 32% are making a meal plan. 41% are using leftovers more creatively. I think that's a reflection of everybody working at home. You can just go to your fridge at lunchtime, as opposed to being downtown or wherever your office was and grabbing a bite out. You're now eating more meals at home. So leftovers are more important. 42% are looking at how they can freeze things differently than they did before. And 38% are looking at how to take care of perishables better. So if your product has a limited shelf life, or a fresh product, then perhaps you need to be thinking about how you're communicating to people about how to care for the product. I know that things like celery, for example, and I know there's not too many celery growers in Canada, but I just thought of that example where if you take celery and you put wet paper towel around it and then wrap it in tin foil and put it in your fridge, it lasts way longer. And I think this might have been a Chef Alain tip that I heard him share one time. It lasts way longer than it does if you don't do that. So those are the kind of things maybe you need to be thinking about that and sharing some of those insights with consumers, because they are interested in that right now. So lots of things going on there. Another good news story that we found this week is that Kettle One Vodka have teamed up with Recipe Restaurants and Food Banks Canada. So if you order a Kettle One vodka beverage in any one of their participating restaurants, which are Montana's, the Pickle Barrel, Kelsey's, Prime Pubs, and the Landing Group, then Diageo, the owner of Kettle One, will fund one meal through Food Banks Canada to a person. So they're really looking to donate a lot of meals, and looked like from the media reports that I saw, so far they've donated 330,000 meals to Food Bank Canada. So that's phenomenal in a time when people are struggling and need some help. So congratulations to them. And what you see on the screen is is one of the ads that Food Bank Canada or pieces on their website where they're showcasing real people who are using Canada's food banks. And we know that COVID-19 has had a devastating impact on a lot of jobs, and people are using food banks more than ever. So thanks to Diageo for their job there. And the last good news story I wanted to share with you was from True Earth. And to be honest, I had not heard of this company before, but when I saw their corporate social responsibility work that they were doing, it made me go and check out their website. And I think it's a really interesting product. It's a laundry detergent, which is a strip. And when you think about the impact of laundry detergent on the environment, whether it's the plastic containers or the carbon footprint of dragging all that liquid around from a processing plant to a warehouse to a store, they can put 32 wash loads right into an envelope. And I thought it was a really interesting item. It's a company from Vancouver, Canada. And so what they've done through COVID-19, and obviously we want, people are challenged in different ways. And so what they're doing is for everybody who buys a subscription package to their True Earth laundry detergent, they are donating an equivalent number of wash loads. And they're distributing those, I believe, through food banks and other community service organizations. But listen to the number. So year to date, or March to date, I guess, they've donated over 2 million loads of laundry to Canadians. So that's 2 million loads of laundry that Canadians were able to do, who might have, struggled to be able to add laundry detergent to their shopping list. And they've been able to do that. And it's over $1 million at retail. So a great initiative on their part. And I really thought that was interesting. And the other thing that the sort of takeaway for me is that their corporate social responsibility play influenced me to learn about their business. And so I want to learn more about it. And it sounds like an interesting product that would be interesting to learn more about. And then as a coincidence, it came up in my Facebook feed today. I don't know how these things happen, but it did. So that's the last good news story we have. I'd really love to invite you to our session next week at 2 p.m. Atlantic, 1 p.m. Eastern, where we're going to talk about online shopping. And we're going to talk about online shopping from the perspective of suppliers. And we know that the number is 4 or 5 times what it was prior to March of 2020. We know retailers have responded. The click and collect, the number of orders they can process now is way higher. Loblaw and Walmart are on to click and collect. And then we have Sobeys launching their Voila program in Ontario with a dedicated warehouse for online fulfillment. And then also testing some new initiatives in different parts of Canada where consumers can shop online and have product from Sobeys as well. But we're going to talk about what does this mean for suppliers and how you can play a role in that and be an important part in growing those online sales and shopping for food. So we really hope you can join us next week for our Recipe for Success. If you have any questions or comments, always you can send them to peter@skufood.com, or you can call me at 902-489-2900. It's always a treat to talk to people. And I see a few comments from in the chat, so great ideas and excellent. So thanks, I really appreciate your feedback. It's great to get the feedback and always appreciated. It's great to know that what we're delivering on our Recipes for Success presented by FCC are value to people, and that's what's most important to us. So thanks again for your time, and we look forward to seeing you next week.